Hi, and welcome to a Confidence on Camera camera lesson. Today, Monday, May the 4th, 2020. I'm Michael Bean, owner and head coach at Biz Studio, and you can find classes for kids and teens at bizstudio.ca. Today we're going to be talking about camera technique and how to set things up for the camera. I'll start by showing you a quick clip from Tiffany Mak. Those of you who were here a couple of weeks ago will remember this, but I think that it's important to use somebody else's words to back me up. Hey, Lincoln, good to see you. So let me just share that with you. Share Tiffany Mak. Two quick things from Tiffany. One is, and can you all see Tiffany right now? Yeah, great. Can you talk a little bit about self-tape auditions, and what you like to see in one? When you're like, yeah, oh, this is a quality one. Kind of what stands out for you?
Good lighting is important.
Just to really emphasize that one. And then we're gonna, we'll listen, to her talking in detail about that. But I want to remind you how important lighting is in terms of getting casting's attention.
So weird. I never thought that would be the forefront of my mind, but
I keep saying it on Mondays.
Yeah, really. I mean, it's true. Sometimes I'll see. First of all, I have no problem if people self-tape at home. I mean, yes, if you're going to get coach, I'm going to go and self-tape with your coach. But self-taping at home on your iPhone or your Android is totally fine as long as it is horizontal, not portrait. Horizontal, blank wall, white is fine, but blue or gray or green is better. But, white is totally acceptable. But good lighting, something where I can see your face and see your eyes and the emotions that you guys are doing. A lot of people will sit by a window, so it'll be half their face is lit and the other half is in the shadows, or they'll be sitting in what looks like a windowless, dim, it almost looks like a motel room where it's just like an orange haze. Like we're trying to show you the best light literally possible. So be very cognizant of that. Anywhere where you can have bright natural lighting, that's what you guys should do.
Okay, and then if we jump ahead to 2152.
Self-tapes are that, if I was being brutally honest, if the aesthetic or the performance of your self-tape hasn't gotten our attention in the first 20 or 30 seconds, we may not watch the whole thing if we have a bunch. I think that's the honest truth. I know now I'm recording and on record saying it, but it's true. So you have to make sure that the technical aspects are strong. If we get thousands of self-tapes in, that's kind of the first weeding process. Is you haven't captured our eye, we may not have the attention span to keep watching.
Okay. And so you don't have to take my word for it. Take Tiffany Mak's word for it. But just that reminder that of how important it is to get your lighting sorted out. And so that means making sure that if there's a big window, like I've got a big window right now, but it is behind where my camera is, which is why there's a light in my eyeballs. And if I was going to turn around the other way so the window was behind me, what you would see is not only would my eyes not be lit, but I'd be very shadowed and it'd sort of be extremely backlit. And so figuring out an eye light, even if it's something as simple as a desk lamp that you put directly behind the camera. Jackie Lind, when she came in on Friday, and hopefully you've all, I think most of you were there. How many of you were there for the Jackie Lind session? Yeah, right. And so Jackie said, self-tape to the future. And she talked about how important it is to grab people's attention right at the beginning of the self-tape, in similar language to Tiffany. So self-tape auditions are going to start being progressively more important. Like they're already significant, but understanding how to do a good self-tape, I think, is really a good idea right now. So that's the reminder of sort of the top level stuff, with camera is, can you have your eye light set up, right? This little teeny dot that's reflected in my eyeballs. If it wasn't there, I would look like I wasn't feeling as much. Yeah, and so if you heard Tiffany say something like, we want to see how you're feeling, there's an element of that that is purely technical. And those of you who are Therefore, Josh, you were there for class on Friday, right? Do you remember when Ethan sort of adjusted his scene so that he had really strong highlight? And it was huge difference. Suddenly we're like, oh, we really feel this guy. And an element of that is lighting. It's why there's an enormous lighting department every time you're on a professional film set. It is a big deal. And so figuring out your lighting setup at home. Framing, you want to be in a medium close-up. If you're too far back from the camera, then we can't see as much detail, and particularly we can't see your eyes. We can't see that eye light. We can't get that sense as we're watching that, like, we know how you're feeling. Medium close-up. The marks and movement, we're going to talk about in some more detail today. Yeah, and sound, just a pro tip that I shared with my classes this weekend, but that I want to just talk through for everybody so it's on record, is that if you are doing a Zoom recording with somebody, it is a very good idea to turn your microphone down. I'll turn mine back up actually, because I was taping with a client just before this, trying to get a little piece of demo footage for the Teresa scene that we looked at on Wednesday. So if you go into if you're on a computer or desktop, if you go down to the bottom bar of Zoom, there's the mute button, and then there's a little arrow right beside the mute button. If you click on that, then you will get a whole long menu of things, a lot of them that have to do with microphone. And if you click audio settings, which is the very last one on there, then you will get something that says speaker and microphone, and input level, and you can change the input volume of your microphone. I believe automatically there will be a little checkbox that says automatically adjust microphone volume. What you want to do is uncheck that box if you're reading with somebody, and then drag it down to about halfway. So just make sure that your reader does that, whether you're recording or they're recording. If you're doing a Zoom tape with somebody, have your reader drag their volume down about halfway. Otherwise, their voice will often be louder on the tape than yours. And it's a little bit like having the reader stand too close to the camera if you're doing a self-tape, which is one of those like really easy mistakes to make. So let's look at this Falling Sky script. This is the one that we went over in detail on Wednesday. Falling Skies, Steven Spielberg. It was on TNT network, very action-based, post-apocalyptic, things are exploding, people are dying. We've got Jared. We've got a crumpled woman in her 30s, was shot off the bike on the ground. We've got an accountant waving the saddle bikes in one hand and a pistol, threatening Teresa, who clutches the backpack, throws the saddlebags down, advances on her. He's about to shoot her. Tom rushes him, tackles him. The Jared runs away. Tom threatens him. Tom tries to pick up the motorcycle. Teresa freaks out. She pounds on him. Tom apologizes. She tries to lift up the bike, but she can't because it's too heavy. Tom says a bunch of lines. Eventually she gives up. And there's this little piece of that. Now, in the first take that I did with Christina in our coaching today, I neglected to pin her. Another really easy mistake to make in Zoom. If you're taping something by Zoom, you have to pin the person who you want to. You have to pin the person who you want to record, and sometimes I forget to pin the person I'm taping, or I forget to pin myself, and I end up with the video all over the place. But if there we go, QuickTime Player.
Actually, you've got to have more food than this.
No, stay away. No, it's mine. It's all we have left.
Where, if you don't give me that back, run. I see you, I'll use this.
It's mine. We're going to steal it.
Right, so what we've got is her just like standing in one place in a medium shot, head down to down to her waist. You can see that the angle is low. So it's a very unflattering angle. There's no eye light. Not only is she in shade, but there's no light reflected in her eyes. And there's some interesting stuff to look at in the background. So if we get distracted, we can be like, oh, hey, look, a mirror and photos, and she's got a cool thing on her T-shirt. All of these things are distractions, right? So this is the kind of self-tape that it is possible that would not make the 30-second cut. I think based on what Tiffany said in her video, that's almost a guarantee. And what we had time to do today when I coached this was just bring in a little bit of physicality, and I'll show you that in a minute.
Stop it! I'm not going to hurt you. Okay? I'm sorry. Listen to me. The bike's all yours. He's going to come back. Because we don't want to be here.
Me talking, right? So this is her trying to lift the motorcycle still, and then giving up. And so the no physical indication of the action of the scene. The thing that I keep saying in our camera lessons is the first thing that I recommend trying is do exactly what it says in the script. Just try it. Now, in this case, lifting the motorcycle is going to be extremely difficult. So the tricks that I gave Christina, and I'll often do this in class, as I said, give yourself something real to struggle against. Right, so especially if she has to wrestle with this guy over the pack at the beginning, and then she has to lift the bike. And so what you can do is you can use your own hand for resistance. Remember, anytime you are handling things that are imaginary, keep it at waist level or below. So there's no chance it will get up into the frame. And so from down here, if she's really pulling hard on it, then that's going to affect her voice, and she won't have to act like she's struggling, because there will actually be a physical struggle. Oh, that vein's starting to pop in my forehead. So bringing in the physical struggle so that you're actually struggling against yourself is one of the best ways I know to sell that piece of the story. And then for the motorcycle, what I asked her to do was get a chair, kneel on the chair, and then put her hands underneath the seat and try and lift the seat off the ground. Right? So she made it impossible, and there's no way that she could fall over, or hurt herself in that process. But she gave her something way too heavy to lift. And the framing, was we didn't have time to tweak it perfectly, but you'll be able to get the idea in our second take of the scene, and just see how much more we see the struggle, we see the emotional arc, and then if you can imagine it in medium close-up with a good highlight, ooh, then we're talking. So let's take a look at our third take. So this is maybe 15 minutes of coaching this morning.
You gotta have more food than this.
No, stay away!
Every store within 20 miles.
It's mine, you can't have it!
I swear to you, give me that back. Run. If I see you, I'll use this.
It's mine, you can't have it!
Stop it. I'm not gonna hurt you.
The bike's mine and my mom's. It's all we have left.
Okay, I'm sorry. Listen to me, the bike's all yours. But he's gonna come back, and when he does, you don't want to be here. You might be able to ride, but you're not gonna be able to lift it all by yourself. Tom.
Teresa. Mom calls me Terry.
Right, so some of what we're reading as emotional information here is actually just her being tired from physically trying to lift the bike. Total physical commitment will often read as an emotional experience on camera. Again, something that's useful for anybody who wants to come across as a better actor. I just think that using your body to tell the story is a way to add more feeling to the scene while doing no extra work. Yourself, like then you're not pushing for feeling, you're not trying to like do spooky voodoo for feeling, you're just using your body to take you in. And this came up, and I don't know if this came up in our sessions last week, but it definitely came up this weekend, is that if you are doing self-tapes, one of the wonderful gifts is that anything that's going to physically get you into the right place for the scene before you start rolling, you can do, because you're going to probably drag it into iMovie and you can cut out any of the weird stuff and just start with the scene. So if it's going to help you to jump up and down for a minute, or do a bunch of push-ups, or like push against the wall and yell, or do this extra thing with the chair, or like whatever it is, you play with that so that you can come into the scene really charged with feeling. Again, so you can grab them not just with your technical setup, but with how charged it is emotionally right in that first 30 seconds.
I don't know, 6, maybe 7 weeks trying to get to Boston.
I could donate to you, but only if I get to come along.
You okay?
Yeah. I just want to go.
And so when something is that emotionally charged, or that physically charged, then line stumbles read as the character being very upset. And so you also are more safe in terms of like you're not exposed when everything that you're doing is sort of inside the character. And again, that's something that came up a bunch this weekend, this idea that the safest place to be is fully inside the character. The most vulnerable place to be is sort of like halfway in between, where it's like we're half seeing the actor being like, oh, this is so weird, and half seeing the character having the weird experience. So the safest place to be is all the way into that. So there's your little clip of Teresa from last week's actor challenge. Now, I pulled a couple of other scripts that have movement in them. And so I thought that we could look at those quickly and then open it up for questions for the last couple of minutes, and we'll get out of here by 1:30. So we've got Madison High, I've got Ramona, and I've got The Troop. Let me just share that screen with you. Here we go. Madison High. Oops. Good, you seeing what I'm seeing? It says Madison High right on the top left. Excellent. Now, if we were doing detailed script analysis, of course we would read all this crossed out bit. What we are going to do here is, interior, exterior coffee shop morning. So now we know where we are. I have a cool cousin in town, Colby 15, dressed exactly like the character he's drawing right down to the blue hair. That's Colby, slightly into anime the way I'm slightly into music. Now we get to go to the same school. What's up, cuz? Peyton Chan! Colby leaps up, runs at Peyton, and gives her a cross between a hug and a tackle. Freeze frame on the two of them crashing to the sidewalk. Okay, my name is just plain Peyton. The Chan part is Japanese for girl. And this hug attack, anime kids call it glomping. I call it painful. Unfreeze as they land on the ground. Kids passing by give them weird looks. Colby, what did we agree about glomping? Non-public or in private? Sorry, I'm just excited to see you. So if you are reading Colby, which is what these audition sides were for, you've got to figure out how to sell this, how to make it make sense. What's up, cuz? Peyton Chan. There's a whole tackle written in here. There's an explanation, which if you didn't read this crossed out part, you would have to go look up glomping, but Peyton explains it for you right here. Colby, what did we agree about glomping? So obviously the first thing that you would do if you were glomping, here, let me unmute all of you, right? So you got this set up, for your at home for the camera, like you're on your feet. What would you try first for this glomping? If you got to glomp somebody, yeah, Luciana.
Maybe like just run up to them and hug them. Well, not like get a little bit close to the camera and maybe like hug off screen.
Okay, right. So the two things that I talk about in class are either like do exactly what it says in the script, or cheat it so that it's off camera. So you could come in, exactly. You try, like everybody try now with your camera to do like an intense off-screen hug, So exactly. So so I might do that. Like I'm just keep the corner of me in frame, and I'm just going to be like, Peyton Chan. So that we're really selling the story of like, whoa, too much, which is her response. Works, right? So Luciano's idea, I think, is really clear. I wouldn't recommend completely clearing frame, because if I go, Peyton Chan, and I'm just completely gone, then you don't get the emotional information of all of this, like, and you could see that there, I was doing the same thing I said with the motorcycle, is I was using my own body as resistance, so that from here, at least, it looks like I'm just really squeezing the heck out of somebody. And it affects my voice in a way that seems like good acting, right? So this is one way to sell physical action like that. Now, since he's supposed to be sitting in a coffee shop with, drawing, and then go in for that, how are you going to make that work? Yeah. Somebody else want to chime in? Raven, what do you think? How are you going to go from sitting in the coffee shop to like full tackle hug? Your Maddox, best guess?
Lean to the side.
Right, like you're in the chair and you're basically just going to tackle her right out of the chair.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. And so you could try that. My suspicion is, that Josh, you got can you stand up and adjust your camera so that you're standing up?
Yeah, of course. Here,
Good.
let me try.
And then just go to the back wall and lean against the back wall. So that's going to be Josh sitting down, is leaning against the back wall. Then he doesn't have to change the frame, and then yell Peyton Chan and then run in for that like tackle hug in the corner of the frame. Go.
Peyton Chan!
Good. And then
Yeah.
right. It feels weird, but it's fine. And then I would say just make sound while you're doing it. Give me an "Arr!"
Okay.
Yeah. Good. So one more time and action.
Peyton Chan!
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now it might also be fun because it's a big, broad comedy show. And Maddox, if you can set yours up so that you're standing, then you probably want to get the chair totally out of the way so you don't bump into it. Something else that you could try is, again, you're leaning against the back wall. You're reading or you're drawing in your book. You can keep it down at waist level, exactly. Then we don't see it. When you see Peyton, give me the big Peyton Chan, and then leap forward, like actually dive forward out of frame, and then pop immediately back up. Because it's Disney, it's comedy. Like that's exactly what's written in the script is, yeah! And as long as you come right back up and you don't give us like empty space, then I think that'll work too. So if you can, without like hitting your face on the desk or something, like give that a shot. Okay, maybe leaning against the back wall, stand by, and action.
Peyton Chan!
Boing! Yeah, exactly. And you just play with it so you could get as much boom, as much launch as possible. Like you could stack cushions there. You could, you're at home, you can play with it however you want. Like sort of classic comedy option. Shall we look at one more before we hit 1:30? So let's look at Ramona, because we just looked at a dude. I'll save Felix, the monster hunter, for next time. Troop. Share screen. Here we go. But yeah, we'll look at the troop next time. So this is from feature film Ramona. Based on the kids' books. Henry is the love interest of the older sister. These are the actual audition sides for Henry. It's only a couple of pages. So he's he doesn't show up for like a lot of the movie. Flirty, bingo. Ramona's lies up. They have a lemonade stand. And we get that Beezus is really into Henry. She's twirling her hair, the awkward, half shy, half flirty. Ramona rolls her eyes. Ramona's the kid sister. I'll have one. You will? Great. It's just $1 a glass. It's actually for Henry doesn't have to pay, but it's for the house. You meant on the house, just for you. But Beezus shoots her a look and ladles Henry a glass, failing to see a fly dive into the lemonade. Ramona's eyes widen. Henry, ladies first. Thank you, Henry. But Beezus shoots her another glare. Ramona watches the fly sputter inside the cup, smiles at Henry, not taking her eyes off him as she takes a dainty little sip. Ramona winces. The fly goes down the hatch. Beezus, blech! Her face tweaks and she sprays lemonade all over Henry. Ah! Her eyes tear up as Henry takes a disgusted step back, covered in lemonade. Oh. Beezus freezes, then mortified, turns and bolts for the house. Okay? So if we're just taking it from here, you glare. If you're playing Beezus, you glare at the sister. So you smile at Henry. You drink a sip from the cup. You realize that you've just swallowed a fly. You would writers often don't put these sounds in script because actors overdo them. You don't have to say bleach or bleach, or right. The idea is that you make a horrible choking sound because you've just swallowed a fly, and then you spray lemonade all over Henry, and then you're so upset that you have just sprayed lemonade and saliva all over this boy you like. Then you tear up and run away. So, where are we? Raven, do you have a cup nearby? So just grab one. You're cool. Like you're yeah, perfect. You know, and so what I would recommend is, you know, like for starters, if you're doing this, you know, and again, can you adjust it so that you're standing? You know, like I know the angle will be bad, but you know, then you get to demo for us, right? And anybody else who wants to try this, you know, you could do either side. You could either do the boy side of like, oh my god, I'm covered in gross lemonade spit, you know, or you could do the spit take side. Now, that in comedy this is called a spit take, you know, where you're halfway through drinking something. It's like it's sort of classic slapstick comedy trope, you know, and that they're putting in here. You know, so if you want, you know, I would say for starters, Raven, try doing it without water, right? It's like, you know, so take a sip or pretend to take a sip. Don't actually use it, get any water in your mouth, and just you know, and then do the blah and the spray.
Oh,
okay. Yeah. So your sister, whoever it is you're looking at, is the eye line for the cute boy, you know, and then the sister's on the other side of camera. You know, so you start by glaring at your sister who's trying to interrupt, you know, in this like perfect moment, you know, and then there's like, then you look over at the guy and there's a big smile, because he's so dreamy. You keep looking at him while you drink the thing, and then you realize that you've just drunk a fly, you know, and spit lemonade all over him. Okay, ready? Stand by, looking at the sister, stupid sister trying to mess with you, and action. Then look at the guy and smile. Good, and then you look at him and he's covered in lemonade. Oh God, your chance of ever having a boyfriend are ruined forever. And you make little sound and run away. Oh. And of course, don't do that because headphones will, you know, break if you try and run away from the, right? But as simple as that. Somebody want to do the guy side of it? Everyone's like, no, we get it. Okay, so the basic idea always is, you know, try exactly what it says in the script, you know, and if Raven was doing this recording, then I would say like that she should go to the bathroom and like stand by the bathtub and practice like 6 or 10 spit takes, so that because just like a little bit of water, not so much water that's going to actually spray on her computer, but just a little bit of like to get the first little edge of that sip in her mouth, and then you know, is going to be so much more funny on camera than her miming it. But it's the kind of thing you want to practice. It would only take a couple of minutes to get to figure out how to do like a perfect spit take in your home self-tape, right? Do exactly what it says in the script first, you know, and then if that doesn't work, you know, or if you can't get it to look right, feel right when you're watching the tape back, then you adjust it so that all the action can be just outside of the frame. Okay, that's our Monday camera lesson. Tune in tomorrow for this guy. Where is he? Nope, that's not the right guy. That's Tiffany Mak. Tune in tomorrow for this guy. Ben Cotton. Here he is on IMDb. You know, awards, 164 credits. You know, whole bunch of good stuff. You know, we even got his demo reel, you know, that we can watch. And we can, you know, look at this tomorrow before he gets here.
You all are the bravest group of women and men I have ever met.
From a Mars thing that he did with National Geographic in 2016. You know, the time was a big deal. You know, like Ben's a real artist and a musician and a fabulous human. And I asked him to come in and talk to us about confidence. Now Wednesday, I'm not going to be here, and that'll be the first time because my computer needs to go get repaired. So Leanne Lapp is going to take the story session, and so my hope is that that'll be really useful because you'll get to see a different version of here's the questions that she asks when she's looking down a script, looking over a script, and she'll break down that script for you from the top. And so if that goes well, then I could have Emily and Anya. I could even have other successful actor friends, either young folks or folks my age, come in and do some of those story sessions. Because I think that might be really cool to get not just like an academic idea of story, but to actually follow somebody along on their process of when they're first looking at a script, what do they look at first? What do they look at second? What's the like short version of the questions they ask themselves and how they try and get that into their head. Thursday, I'm still trying to trace down somebody from the Union of BC Performers, the BC Film Commission, to talk to us. Props to Josh for suggesting that. And then Friday, we've got Chris and Kara. So Chris Wozniacki and Kara Eady, who are casting directors, mostly for they had a couple of TV shows, and they do like sort of independent movies and features as well. They work out of the casting place up on 7th Avenue. Some of you have probably been in for them before. And they're going to come talk to us on Friday. Okay. Thanks for making the time, as always. And I will see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
My pleasure.
Thank you.